And now we bring it all home to wrap up this great week of Liquid Lunch with Ken LaCorte. He's the founder of Media Action Network. He was a senior executive at Fox News Channel, so he knows his way around some news making and television and all that. And Ken, this new news, the 24-hour news cycle, dominated by Twitter, Facebook. It seems now like Twitter wants to call balls and strikes on who has First Amendment rights on their platform.
You know, all of them do at this point. And I tell you, this last week was very disappointing to watch a group of MDs giving a press conference in Washington, D.C. that was squelched because it didn't go with the narrative that they wanted to hear. It was squelched and taken off of Twitter, off of Facebook, and off of YouTube. News outlets that ran it live, like Breitbart, they got frozen out of their sites for a while, at least a day. And we are just seeing, look, we've been seeing this rise in creeping censorship over the past 5-7 years. We started starting on the student campuses where, Ben Shapiro would go speak and they'd come in with whistles and drums and chain themselves up. And those college students are now running our public forum, which is really what the online world has become. That's how we get most of our news. Besides, one cable channel and a couple things here is on social media, and they've slowly ramped up unacceptable thought, starting with the Alex Joneses of the world, and now ending with doctors because those doctors disagree with those doctors, and that's crazy and disappointing.
It's crazy that, Jack Dorsey now thinks it's his job to put his finger on the scale on what's news. And these things were kind of founded as a way for people to get unfettered access to the news they want. And now that's kind of getting taken away from us. I'll give you a funny anecdote. We are trying to build our, social media audience a little better. And, we're always talking pro-America, patriotic, Donald Trump. We've had Roger Stone on many times. And we tried for the first time to spend some money to boost our Facebook posts out there. Mm-hmm. And Facebook rejected us. And they gave us, in the explanation thing, the promotion of tobacco products was the reason they wouldn't accept our money. Okay? And we're trying to make the case to them now that because my name is John Tabacco, that doesn't mean we're promoting tobacco products. But I think it's worse than that.
You first get picked up by the automated systems, and I'm sure that's what happened there. But I've been rejected time after time. Look, I had 3.5 million followers on a news site at Facebook, and one day it disappeared. And I still haven't been able to get a straight answer or a sit down or an email exchange with them.
Wow.
We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars building that up. It was generating millions of people coming to my sites every month, and they yanked that out based on what I think was completely false information on things. Twitter, I haven't been able to get an ad on Twitter that they haven't rejected from one way or another. I guess they considered it political, but I'm talking just getting a news story out there and trying to promote that. So I'm a little heartened by Parler, which is basically a Twitter knockoff, and that conservatives are starting to flock to, and it's actually getting some oomph out there. And I'd suggest you look for an audience there because at least they're founded under the concept of free speech. I don't think that they're going to let everything go because people will, of course, test that to beyond limits. But these other entities, they will kill you. They will squelch you. Look, I reported the name of the whistleblower who started an impeachment process against the president of the United States, and he wasn't some guy who was a whistleblower inside the White House. He was working for the CIA out of Langley. He was somebody who had admitted in conversations that he was going to get Trump from day one and had been booted out of the White House for other reasons. I mentioned his name. I got yanked off of YouTube. I got yanked off of Facebook, and Google demonetized my pages.
Wow!
You want to have fun? Go look for hit the words Joe Biden and try to find out if you can see a link leading you to Breitbart News, which is a very unabashedly pro-Trump organization, but they're also one of the biggest online news groups in the world. You can't find them on certain keywords now using Google.
I was actually gonna bring that up to you because I'll tell you what. I was kind of adverse to getting in on all this QAnon, Pizzagate, all these, really deep conspiracy theories, right?
Right. Half of them are nonsense.
Yeah, and I started to, I call it down the rabbit hole, where I go down and call it like I see it. This is a real government document from a FOIA, so something here has got to work, right? This is an unsourced Facebook post right? I kind of look at both sides of it. And I found that when I bring up any topic like that, because I want to see what both sides are saying, I can get 2 pages full of articles saying how all this conspiracy is crazy. But even if I put in the keyword conspiracy theory, Pizzagate, Breitbart, it won't give me Breitbart.
Yeah, you literally have to go into Google. Well, first of all, you have to go to another site and jump onto Bing. So far, they haven't been as obnoxious as Google. Or you type site : put your name of the site, and it will just exclusively search that site. But
is that how you wait? I love when my audience gets a little trick.
Site : foxnews.com, and then you put in keywords, and it will only search foxnews.com for those things if you have it after the SITE :
So site SITE : then you put the domain you want to go to, and then you put
and then type in whatever keywords after that you're looking for. But look, how screwed up is this? How screwed up is this that we have to come up with hacks to find out the other side of some issues?
It's crazy. Ken, let me ask you this. You're the founder of Media Action Network, former senior executive over at Fox News. Number one, I was on Fox for about 10 years. I was a regular weekly guest on Your World with Neil Cavuto. I was on Fox Business from day one. I was a Cavuto All-Star. And I did every show. David Asman, I did everything at Fox. And I did CNBC, a lot of them, stock market commentary. My background's Wall Street, right? I found myself these last few years feeling like Fox is systematically going left. And I think there's an opening for people, we're part of Newsmax. I think there's an opening for the Newsmaxes and the OANs out there to take audience from Fox. Do you think they're intentionally going left, or it's just,
No, I think a couple things. I think in some ways, and let me just call it like I see it, in some ways they've gone more conservative. Many of their, look at their primetime lineup. Their primetime lineup was more conservative than when I was there. Remember, Hannity had Combs for a long time. We had Greta Van Susteren in our lower thing, in our evening lineup. She was no conservative. I love her, but she was no conservative.
No, that's for sure.
We had Shepard Smith, who would be pretty good in straight news, and then he'd blurt out the fact that Republicans are terrible human beings.
Yeah, well, I thought Shepard Smith.
To some extent, they're following the liberal narrative because they don't, because they just do, and that's easy to do. Look, when 90% of the world is saying one thing, it's just easy to fall into that. You're a young person, you're going to work, you're trying to make your bosses happy, you pass all the newspaper headlines that say it's all about Trump and masks, let's say, and then all of a sudden you're doing stories on Trump and masks and this and that, and you're just kind of falling into that natural narrative that you've seen out there in the rest of the world. We also, but that's it, and then we have a good reason to be worried. I don't think the Murdochs, at least the younger Murdochs, they're not true believers in the conservative cause. I mean, their dad is a conservative. He's a capitalist, and he was a capitalist first, I think, and conservative second. And then look, the world's changed. I mean, look, back in the day, the day was only 5 or 6 years ago. You could watch CNN and not want to throw up, or not know that you were watching DNC TV. So what happened is everybody kind of went further to the it was always liberal, right? That's how we formed a beachhead. That's how we won. But Fox went a little bit more conservative in some ways, and maybe a little bit more liberal in other ways. And CNN went that. And when everybody's out there, then you're like, why am I watching Democrats on Fox? And this is what Trump says, and he's got a point. He's like, I go to CNN, I go to MSNBC, they're 100% against me. I go to Fox, and they're 80% for me and 20% against me. That feels unfair.
Right. Why do we have to listen to Donna Brazile who just, 3.5 years ago was giving the questions in a debate to Hillary Clinton.
But, we had Susan Estrich on before, and she ran Michael Dukakis's campaign.
Right.
I mean, but the world's changed a little bit, and so look, I do think that there is some room for a more conservative network, and I think that there needs to be competition for everybody on. Conservatives can't just have one channel.